Today we ask Reddit, what were you bullied for? Number 1. Yep. Being a little girl with undiagnosed autism in the 90s was an adventure in social awkwardness. I learned how to interact with my peers by observing their interactions and then mimicking those behaviors in future interactions. Except I wasn't very good at figuring out which behavior belonged with which situation. So then my teachers would just say I was bringing the bullying on myself. Which I was. Now that I'm a teacher myself, I try to look out especially for those kids so ever don't have to go through quite as much of the same shoddy learning curve. Number 2. My brother had a rare genetic disease called Bullied syndrome. He only was 4 feet 5 inches and weighed 60 pounds as a full-grown adult. Kids picked on him a lot and my dad got to be on a first-name basis with the principal for all the fights I got into protecting him. It finally got to the point I had permanent chair outside the principal's office. I would look at whatever teacher broke it up and would I know I'll be in my chair, might as well call my dad now. My dad would put on a good show of tearing me the whole young lady you know you aren't supposed to be fighting, let alone fighting in school, you're grounded for 2 weeks, then when I got home he would laugh his ass off about being called to the school. I was never punished for protecting my brother. After a couple of years of getting their ashes beat down the kids stopped picking on my brother. They knew contending with his crazy big sister wasn't worth it. My brother sadly passed away in August due to cancer which he was predisposed to from the Bullied syndrome, and those same kids that picked on him unmercifully when we were younger were at his funeral sobbing their hearts out because my brother became the best friend they had ever had once they gave him a chance. Number 3. I was really shy in college, UK, so I was about 17, and I had a horrible woman teach us English language. She had a game near Christmas where we had to write a verb and an adverb on a piece of paper. They all went in a hat, and we had to act them out for the class to guess what they were. I was already feeling really anxious about having to stand up and act something out, and I ended up being last. The words I pulled out were comfort seductively. I didn't know what to do really, so I showed her them and she got the most popular guy in the class and sat him in a chair and said off you go. I told her I was really not comfortable doing it and would do another one instead, and she refused and said nobody was leaving the room till I did it, so everyone started shouting, telling me to just do it. So I stood next to him and patted his shoulder, trying not to cry, and I remember people shouting things like boobs. Boobs in face, because I'm quite short and chesty and my chest was next to his head. It was so humiliating. Number 4. To this day, I really don't know. Something happened in the summer between 2nd and 3rd grade that made a bunch of people decide that they didn't like me anymore, including my best friend. I only had 2 friends left until my family moved away in the middle of 7th grade. Bullies would follow me home most days and my mom finally had to verbally super scion a few parents down the street to get them to take it down a notch. I finally asked one of them what I ever did to them, and they said you were born. How do you even respond to that statement? I just got a sharp pang after seeing that phrase again. Number 5. Back when I was going through school, my mom and stepdad smoked a lot inside the house, so I pretty much always smelled like cigarette smoke. One day near the beginning of either 10th or 11th grade, my class was all lined up and going to pick up the book necessary for our class that was being handed out by the vice principal. When I came up to grab mine, she stopped, looked at me, and said, "I know you be smoking cigarettes in the boys' room. I'm gonna catch you one of these days." Loud enough for the whole class to hear. I have never smoked a cigarette in my entire life. Number 6. My sister-in-law taught at a very poor, predominantly black school in rural Alabama. One kid in the school had dreams of getting out of there and going to Yale. He made it. But from her description, his high school years had to be the worst. They bullied him relentlessly for trying to be white, or thinking he was better than them, or being skinny, having glasses, etc. The kids she was talking about that were so cruel were coming from hard home lives, like not everyone had running water or electricity in their houses type of hard, but damn. I guess it was jealousy that he was trying to get out and they knew he had a shot? On the bright side, his dad was the principal and instead of dropping the hammer on the kids for being jerks, he tried to improve everyone in the school's life. Made everyone wear uniforms that the school got a grant for, and then installed a laundry room in the school so everyone could drop off their dirty uniforms once a week. Along with other dirty clothes they had, and get them clean so nobody had to come to school in dirty clothes. Set up a food pantry in the school that you could sign up for anonymously, like they would deliver the food to your house instead of giving it to you at school so you wouldn't get bullied for needing help. Got a few grants from different organizations to provide the kids with laptops and wireless data cards so they could do homework at home where the majority of them didn't have internet, etc. Apparently by the time he was a senior, his dad had improved conditions for the rest of the kids enough they felt bad for being jerks and mostly stopped bullying him. I wish someone would have done that kind of thing for me when I was in school and being bullied for who the F knows what reason. I just kicked my bully in the crotch one day and he got the message though, so my bad years were only until midway through 9th grade. Number 7. Let's see. My accent, being a Star Trek fan, being a Star Wars fan, being a comic book fan, not being a sports fan, preferring classical music to heavy and hair metal music, playing chess. Knowing and being interested in anything relating to the space program and its history, knowing and being interested in anything about computers and other electronics. Knowing and being interested in radio wave propagation, modulation, theory, etc. Dad was a ham guy. That was all before I got to high school. Once I got there, you can add being a year younger than anyone else in my class. I didn't skip a grade, I just got lucky on the date of birth cutoff for starting school and started when I was 4. Not playing sports, being on the A/V team, being on the chess team, not drinking or doing drugs. The 80s and early 90s weren't a fun time for geeks and nerds.